Tino. No, Tino hasn't been here. Come on, hurry up, you useless morons.
I think it's Julia.
So is Julia absent?
Yes. Julia and Amo.
And Amo. All right. I know, it's not me. We've just been discussing that. Okay, I'm moving on. Okay. All right, so new thing under genetics. And so in theory, tomorrow you'll get your tests back. If I didn't have to write all those stupid little numbers at the front and add up all those stupid little categories at the front, you would have got them back today.
That is recording. Yeah.
Okay. Bonga set it up, so I'm sure it is. Okay. Bonga's the whatever. Okay. Right, so we're going. Okay, leave your notes alone, leave your questions alone. Let's just. Okay. Right, so today what we're looking at is if an organism, okay, so let's say we're going to use the allele tongue roller and non-roller. So our symbols are capital R for the ability to roll the tongue in humans. And the recessive allele is lowercase r, and that is for blah, 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 inability. Okay, you happy with that? If you look at somebody who phenotypically is a tongue roller, what do you know about that organism's genotype? And don't yell at me.
They're either a heterozygous tongue roller or homozygous tongue.
Okay, so just looking at this individual, the only thing you know for a fact is that they have that. Okay, what you don't know, now that nobody's fiddling, is whether this individual is that or that. You don't know that. Okay. In terms of investigating this, if I say to you, it's a case of life and death, you have to determine whether this individual is that or that. How would you do it? And remember, it's a human. You broken them? Oh, it's just the lens come out. Okay, so it's not a break till forever. Matt?
I mean, you could make this person have children with someone else that have a tongue rolling ability, and then do a
Shh.
because then results that you can work back into the Punnett square table. So, because you know that the person that isn't a tongue roller is small r. So there's only the options that come out are finite. So I don't know how to. I could draw it maybe.
Rest of you, how do you feel about this? Well done, Matt. That's the correct answer. Okay.
What you do with the parents?
Well, I was actually looking for my phone to take a photo to commemorate this moment. No, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Well done. That's difficult.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Okay. Yes.
Look at the person's parents.
No, you still might not know. If the parents are, you still don't know.
No, but like.
And how are you going to know what the parents are?
But that's like. Let's say the other person doesn't have.
Okay. There's only one way to do this. Now listen carefully to me. Okay. So if you only have this individual, you don't have information about the parents. And definitely, if you have information about the parents, you may be able to, but not necessarily. So let's presume we have no information about the parents. We only have this individual, and it's a life or death scenario that you determine whether the individual, stop doing that, Taylor, it's going to dive into drink. And we can't get, we can.
Yes, I know you can. That's why I said it.
Okay. Big R, you don't know whether it's homozygous dominant or heterozygous, and it's life or death for you to work out which one of those two it is. Okay, so listen carefully to the procedure, because this is what you've got to do, and there's no variation on this procedure. Best you know how this procedure works. And the procedure goes: you cross that individual with an individual that is homozygous recessive. Because homozygous recessive is the only thing that you know for definite. So the homozygous recessive individual. In other words, the individual that you're crossing it with, the individual that you're crossing it with, you can tell by looking at that individual that they are little r, because they can't hold their tongue. So you cross this individual who is either that or that, but you don't know that. This is what you're working back towards. Right, so you cross them and you make them have
Sex. Sorry, kids, yeah.
Yeah, we've just dealt with contraception. Sex doesn't need. Did you say sex or did you say kids?
He said
I said sex first, then I said kids.
Okay. But what's important about those kids?
You need to have 4 of them?
Need to have a big enough sample size.
Yeah.
Can't reach a conclusion from just one child unless that child comes out homozygous recessive. Okay, so they have to have enough offspring. So you cross them, the unknown individual, with an individual that is homozygous recessive. You need to have enough offspring. And conclusively, I would say even more than 4.
Yeah, you can work out a
Unless,
ratio,
unless one of them pops out and it's homozygous recessive. As soon as you've got one homozygous recessive child, then you know what that parent is. Just hold on, let me finish this. Okay, so I would go with at least 6. Okay, and you look at the offspring. So now, if you've got 6 offspring, and 3 of them, or any of them, are non-rollers, Kerry. Mask or not, I can see that body language, my child. Which one of those 2 is it?
3 of them are non-rollers, and it's smaller.
Okay. Because if you've got in any of the children non-rollers, then you know that from that parent, you know for a fact they got that one. But from this parent, they must have got that one to make it that. And to get that, to make it that, then that parent must be heterozygous. Okay, and there's your good old friend, the 1-to-1 ratio, phenotypic and genotypic ratio. Okay, you happy with that? But if there are enough offspring, large enough sample, and none of them are non-rollers, then you can conclude that this individual is homozygous roller. As long as you've got enough offspring. You can't reach a conclusion from one offspring unless that one offspring is that one. Because if you get offspring that is a non-roller, you know that that allele must be for non-rolling. Does that make sense, guys? This procedure is called doing a test cross. And to do a test cross is used to determine the genotype of an organism that has the dominant phenotype. I'm going to say that again. A test cross is done to determine the genotype of an organism that has the dominant phenotype. So there are cases, especially in like agriculture, when people want to know, is this bull homozygous for this ideal characteristic, or is it heterozygous? Because if it's homozygous and the characteristic is a desired characteristic, then that bull has far more value than if the bull is heterozygous for that characteristic. So then a farmer might want to know if something that is phenotypically dominant, if that individual is homozygous for the characteristic or heterozygous.
No, like, does this test happen in real life? Like, I actually have to go and have sex with somebody and have 6 kids?
No, just have child. You don't need to have 6.
Okay, yeah, let's say I have to have kids now, 6 kids, and then I do have to like wait for them to grow.
So, sorry if we're boring you, just let us know, we can throw you out, and I can just bore 1 or 2 people. Yeah, but you can't, it's not something you can do with ease with humans, because you can't go, I want to know whether you're homozygous brown out or heterozygous, off you tootle and have sex with some blue-eyed individual we can see here. Okay, does that make sense to you? So it's not something you can easily do with a human. You can certainly do it with other animals, and you can definitely do it with plants. Okay, it's easy peasy to do with plants. You just take pollen from this flower put it on the stigma on that flower, cut off the anthers on that flower, cover it up with a plastic bag so that no other pollen lands on it. And then you find out what the offspring are.
And then you have to wait.
A hell of a long time. Because now it's got to make seeds. You've got to plant those seeds, which sometimes you can only plant in the next summer season. Then you've got to wait for the offspring plants to grow. And then only can you reach a conclusion because now you've got a large enough sample size.
So
But there you can get a large enough sample from one.
if it was like, let's say, an actual animal, like a cat, would I have to wait until like a cat is a kitten? I mean, like the babies are like fully developed, like not even.
No, then it depends on the particular characteristic. You may be able to see it from the time that the little kitties are born. But if it's like fur colour, then you'll see it. But if it's eye colour, sometimes the eye colour changes. Like with humans, the eye colour changes up until 6 months. So then, I think, I don't know, I haven't had those ghastly little things. I believe that babies that are born with blue eyes can develop a different colour eye later on in life. I don't know, anyone know this? Ruth knows this?
What does he?
Yeah.
So, depends on the particular characteristic you're looking at. Just let me answer William and then I'll come to you, Joshua.
Oh, no, it's fine. I figured it out.
Yes.
Ma'am, I remember when we were doing DNA and all of that, we had those, I can't remember if it's called a karyotype or something where it's like, where you see the chromosomes next to each other. Is it not just a lot simpler to bone an animal and don't be able to see what you call it?
Okay. You're right with that. Yes, my angel.
Now, if an organism that has a homozygous dominant gene for any characteristic is crossed with an organism that is homozygous for the recessive gene, is it true that or is it true that the organisms that are produced as a result of the two of them crossing is always going to be dominant? Because of the
So like here, for example, all of the offspring are going to have the dominant characteristic. Okay, what's wrong with Betsy?
I don't know, I can do it.
Oh, just ignore it, it'll go away.
I'm sorry, this might be really silly to ask out. I'm getting confused. But with the crossing, do the offspring always get one code from this parent and one code from that? So like
One allele from this one allele from that one.
So it's never a case where the one parent's dominant, they'll get, because it's dominant, they get both. It's
No,
not-
they definitely can't. Because remember that when gametes are formed, meiosis occurs and the chromosome number is halved.
Yes. Oh, so they have to get the 46.
Yeah, so they would, if this was a human, they would get 23 chromosomes and 23 to go back to 46. But if they've only got one of chromosome 1, one of chromosome 2, one of chromosome 3, then they only get one copy of the allele from that parent and the other copy of the allele stop it from that parent. Okay. Thank you!
Now, is there not a DNA test that you can do now to work out something like
Yeah, ish. Only for certain characteristics, not for all of them. Yes.
So like, let's say I wanted to have a
Stop
baby.
it!
Let's say I want to like genetically make a baby that has blue eyes and is like the perfect baby for me. Like, okay, but not blue eyes. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, let's say I'm trying to make my perfect baby and like I do the whole DNA manufacturing thing. Like, can I make a recessive gene like the dominant one? And like, can I, do you know what I'm trying to say?
I'm trying to process what you're trying to say. No. So if you're contributing a brown-eyed gene, and brown-eyed is dominant, you cannot.
So if I get married like a person with like green eyes that's dominant, then like Okay, let's say it was dominant.
Mhm.
Like, would they clash? Like, would I
Oh.
get a split eye?
No, that's a different thing. Where the eyes are a combination of different colours, it's a different thing. And we're not going to deal with that. That's pretty complicated.
Okay, so,
Okay.
So then how do I get
Okay,
a baby?
so can we wait until we do genetic engineering and then we'll talk about designer babies? Okay, is that all right? Taylor?
No, I don't know if it's like a known fact or something, but normally, a parent with like brown hair and a parent with like blonde hair always like they end up having children with red hair. I don't know. It's happened quite often. Apparently, it's like a known.
No, it's only if that person with brown has got a recessive gene for red and the person with blonde has got a recessive gene for red that they'll do that. Yeah.
What about if when a child is
Okay.
when
Okay, right, we're happy, we're going. Which basically means let it go. I need to get this going. It's a mutation.
No. How
Yes.
does skin colour work?
So, if you remind me, so the only reason I'm going is because it's pretty complicated. Okay, so it's a bit like eye colour. There's more than one, and I'm desperately trying to finish this before the end of the lesson, and I know my clock is fast. Can I give you this and then go back to skin colour and eye colour? Okay, so what I need you to do now for homework, not now, for homework, is number 1 and 2 on page 6.
we're not happy for a double man.
No.
Sure, we happy for a double man.
No.
Yeah.
I tell you that if you guys do that heavy sign when you say, Taylor, you know that whole thing about not touching your mask? Physically, I don't think it's possible for you to touch it any more than you have touched it today.
Now I just did this.
Oh, you touched it the whole lesson. Yeah, Dave, no, but she has the brown cup one.
No, it's
Oh, because it's over the ears. But we discussed this yesterday.
Sorry.
I left all over my dad. I was at my mom's, so I couldn't do it.
Okay, right, guys, are we going? Okay, I'm now doing what you asked me to do.
Yes, thank you.
And best you be quiet and listen, because this is a little bit complicated. Okay. Okay. Let me try and make this bigger. No. Oh, it's still not bigger. Can I zoom? No. Okay, let's find another. Say again? We'll just use a different one. There are lots of them. Okay. So, okay. Skin color genetics is really quite complicated, as is eye color genetics. Because in fact there are 3 different genes on different chromosomes that together determine skin color. And it's the same thing with the eye color. It's one gene here on this chromosome and a different gene there on that chromosome and another gene, and all together they all have an effect on eye color. So those genes have all got a dominant and a recessive. So So on chromosome, I don't know, I'm thumb sucking. Let's say chromosome number 4. There is a locus with a gene for skin color that has a dominant and a recessive. And then on a different chromosome, let's say number 7, there's a different gene that is also involved in skin color and has a dominant and a recessive. And there's a third one somewhere else that also has a dominant and a recessive. And it's a combination of all those things. It's what does the individual have on that chromosome and that chromosome and that chromosome. And there are all these different options. There's 64 different options of combinations between these things that produce skin color. So if, for example, here, you look at this this particular individual, that individual has got the light color here from that chromosome and the light color allele and the light color allele from that. So because all of them are light, the lightest skin color. Okay, to a range of skin color down to the darkest possible skin color, where this individual has got dark, dark, dark only. Okay, so it's pretty complicated. So there's 64 different options here. It's like really
Does it
complicated.
kind of work the same with hair? Because
Hair color's not something I'm
no,
afraid
not
of.
hair color, like hair texture.
No, I think hair texture is more simple than that.
Now, is it possible, I've heard before that a white color, like a white color and a white color, kind of like me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Okay. Bye. William. This red button on this side. Press it.